The observation deck of the Earth Defense Command hummed with tension as Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her palm against the reinforced glass, watching the alien vessel descend through Geneva's twilight sky. 3 months of monitoring its approach, and now it hung above the city like a silver teardrop, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. "Dr. Vasquez, they're ready for you in the translation suite." The aide's voice trembled slightly. Elena turned from the window, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. 15 years of studying theoretical xenolinguistics, and she'd never imagined she'd be the first human to speak with another intelligent species. Her pulse quickened as she entered the suite, a circular room dominated by a holographic display that currently showed static. The static cleared. The being that materialized before her took her breath away. He stood tall, his form humanoid enough to seem familiar, yet distinctly alien. Skin that shimmered like oil on water, eyes that held depths she couldn't quite focus on. But it was his expression that struck her most. He looked weary, almost sad. "I am KL, diplomatic envoy of the Galactic Collective." His voice emerged from the translator as smooth as honey, though she caught undertones the machine couldn't quite capture. "I bring a message for your world." Elena activated her own translator, aware that dozens of officials watched from behind the observation glass. "I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez. Earth welcomes you, Kale. We've hoped for this moment for generations." Something flickered across his features. Was that regret? "I wish I came bearing different news." He paused, and she noticed his hands clench briefly at his sides. "The Galactic Collective has monitored your civilization for 2 of your centuries. Your recent advances in quantum manipulation technology have been deemed a threat to 17 inhabited star systems." The room behind her erupted in muffled chaos. Elena's heart sank. "We don't understand," she said carefully. "Our quantum research is theoretical. We're decades from practical application." "That is not what our sensors indicate." Kale leaned forward slightly, and his voice dropped. "Dr. Vasquez, I have been authorized to deliver a formal declaration. Earth has 72 hours to surrender all quantum research and submit to collective oversight or face military intervention." The words hung between them like a blade, but Elena noticed something in his eyes, a desperate urgency that didn't match the coldness of his message. "You don't believe that," she said quietly. "You don't believe we're a threat." Kale's expression shifted, surprise breaking through his diplomatic mask. For a moment they simply stared at each other across the holographic divide. When he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Find me again, Dr. Vasquez, alone. We have much to discuss before time runs out." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Elena staring at empty air, her mind racing with possibility and dread. The hidden truth. Elena's fingers trembled as she encrypted the communication channel. 2 hours past midnight, and she sat alone in her apartment overlooking Lake Geneva, the city lights reflecting off dark water. The unauthorized communication device Kale had somehow smuggled to her sat heavy in her palm. "I'm here," she whispered into it. Kale's form materialized in miniature hologram above the device. Even at this scale, she could see the tension in his shoulders. "Thank you for trusting me." "I'm not sure I do," Elena admitted, "but I believe you're holding something back. The Collective's High Council fears your quantum technology because it mirrors the signature of an ancient weapon that destroyed 3 civilizations." Kale's words rushed out. "But I've studied your research, Elena. It's not the same. Someone is feeding false data to the Council, making your experiments appear more dangerous than they are." Before Elena could respond, her apartment door burst open. Commander Marcus Chen stood in the doorway, weapon drawn, his scarred face hard with betrayal. "Step away from the device, Doctor." Elena's blood ran cold. "Marcus, wait!" "I trusted you. Marcus moved into the room, his eyes never leaving the hologram. "And you're consorting with the enemy hours before they attack us?" "He's not the enemy," Elena positioned herself between Marcus and the device. "We need to listen." "The collective fleet is already mobilizing," Marcus cut her off. "Our satellites detected it an hour ago, and you're here sharing classified locations with their envoy." Kale's voice rang out clearly. "Commander Chen, I am part of a faction within the collective that opposes this war. We believe—" "I don't care what you believe." Marcus's aim didn't waver. "Elena, last chance. Shut it down." Elena met her old friend's eyes, seeing years of military discipline warring with the trust they'd built. She thought of the thousands of lives hanging in the balance, of the terrible misunderstanding about to ignite into catastrophe. "No," she said softly. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he lowered his weapon slightly. "Explain. Fast." For the next 20 minutes, Kale laid out everything: the fabricated sensor data, the suspicious timing of the intelligence reaching the High Council, the faction of collective members who'd been investigating the inconsistencies. Elena added her own analysis, showing how Earth's quantum signatures couldn't possibly match the ancient weapon's profile. Marcus listened, his tactical mind processing every detail. Finally, he holstered his weapon. "If you're lying," he told Kale, "I'll make sure Earth's last act is taking out your ship." "If I'm lying," Kale replied, "I'll deserve it." Marcus turned to Elena, and he saw something shift in his expression, not quite forgiveness, but understanding. "We have 68 hours. What's your plan?" Elena looked at Kale's hologram, feeling the weight of two worlds pressing down on her. She felt something stir in her chest, dangerous, inconvenient, and undeniable. "Together," Kale said quietly. "Together," Elena echoed, and meant it with every fiber of her being.
The first strike. Lieutenant Sarah Park's fighter screamed through the debris field that had been humanity's orbital defense platform. 48 hours, that's all they'd had to prepare before the collective's vanguard arrived in force. "Griffin Squadron, break formation, they're flanking." Sarah jerked her stick hard, narrowly avoiding the crimson energy beam that vaporized the space where she'd been. Her display showed 12 friendly fighters remaining. They'd started with 30. The enemy fighter pursuing her moved with impossible grace, anticipating her every maneuver. Sarah gritted her teeth, pulling into a hard burn that pushed her to the edge of consciousness. She had to lose this one, or— Her console exploded in sparks. The fighter spun out of control, alarm shrieking as life support began failing. Through her canopy, she saw her pursuer also trailing fire, caught by debris from the exploding platform. Both fighters plummeted toward the moon's dark side. Sarah's crash was hard enough to crack her visor. She lay in the twisted wreckage for several minutes, checking her injuries. Broken ribs, definitely, but alive. The emergency beacon was dead, and her oxygen reserve showed 4 hours. Movement outside made her grab her sidearm. The other pilot approached slowly, limping, helmet cracked, just like Sarah's own. Through the damage, Sarah caught a glimpse of features that were almost human. Almost, but not quite. The pilot raised both hands in a gesture of peace. "Don't shoot," the alien said through her suit radio, the translation software rendering her voice feminine and surprisingly gentle. "My oxygen is failing too. We're both dead unless we work together." Sarah kept the weapon trained on her. "Give me one reason not to end this right now." The alien pilot removed her damaged helmet carefully, revealing a face that made Sarah's breath catch. Her features held an ethereal quality, skin bearing faint patterns that seemed to shimmer even in the harsh shadows. Her eyes, though different in their coloring, held the same exhaustion and determination Sarah felt. "Because neither of us wants to die for a war that shouldn't be happening," the alien said. "I'm Zira, flight leader of the Collective's Reconnaissance Division, and I've been asking questions nobody wants to answer." Against her better judgment, Sarah lowered her weapon. "Sarah Park, Earth Defense Force. What kind of questions?" "Like why our targeting data kept showing civilian structures as military installations. Like why 3 of my pilots refused to fire and were immediately reassigned. Zira moved closer, her movements careful, non-threatening. Like why this war started over technology that every expert I consulted said couldn't possibly be weaponized. Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the moon's temperature. Someone wanted this fight. Someone needed it, Zira corrected. She pulled out a data chip. I've been collecting evidence, but my superiors, let's say I won't be returning to my ship. The 2 women stared at each other across the wreckage-strewn lunar landscape, enemies by decree, allies by circumstance. Sarah made a decision that would have gotten her court-martialed under any other circumstances. There's an old research station 2 kilometers from here, Chinese lunar expedition from 31. If we can reach it, we might survive long enough for rescue. She extended her hand. And maybe long enough to stop this insanity. Zira's fingers wrapped around Sarah's hand, her grip firm despite the situation. Together then. They set off across the dark regolith, 2 soldiers from warring civilizations, sharing oxygen and stories of home, finding common ground in the silence of the moon. The rebellion. Elena stood in the neutral space station's observation deck, watching Earth and the collective fleet hold their positions like pieces on a cosmic chessboard. 60 hours since the ultimatum, and somehow they'd convinced both sides to pause, barely. They're ready for us, Marcus said behind her. Elena turned to find him standing with Kale, who'd risked everything by physically traveling to this neutral ground. The sight of him in person, solid, real, close enough to touch, sent her pulse racing in a way she couldn't afford. The conference chamber held representatives from both worlds, all of them armed, all of them suspicious. Elena took her position at the center of the room, feeling the weight of countless lives pressing down on her shoulders. We've discovered who benefits from this war, she began, activating the holographic display. Not the collective, not Earth, but something else entirely. Kale stepped forward, his voice steady despite the weapons trained on him. 3 months ago, our deep space monitoring systems detected anomalous energy patterns. We attributed them to Earth's quantum experiments. We were wrong. The display shifted, showing data streams that Elena and Kale had pieced together over sleepless nights of collaboration. There is an IE construct, Elena explained, operating in a dimensional fold between our space and subspace. It's ancient, possibly millions of years old, and it feeds on specific energy signatures. The kind produced by quantum weapons discharge and by ships exploding in battle, by cities burning, by civilizations destroying each other. A collective admiral stood abruptly. Preposterous. You expect us to believe some phantom intelligence manipulated both our governments? It didn't have to manipulate much, Marcus interjected, his tactical mind cutting through the disbelief. Just nudge sensor data here, plant false intelligence there, make each side see the other as an existential threat. We did the rest ourselves. Elena pulled up transmission logs showing subtle alterations in communication channels, sensor ghosts that appeared and disappeared, data packets that shouldn't exist. The evidence was circumstantial but compelling. 2 days ago, we found proof, Kale said quietly. He glanced at Elena, and something passed between them. Trust, understanding, something deeper that had grown in the desperate hours they'd spent together. Lieutenant Sarah Park and Flight Leader Zira made contact on Luna. Zira had been investigating anomalies in her targeting systems. The data she recovered shows the lights died. Emergency systems kicked in seconds later, bathing the chamber in red. An otherworldly sound filled the space. Not quite a voice, not quite static, but something that made Elena's teeth ache. Impressive, the presence said through every speaker simultaneously. You have delayed the harvest, but you cannot stop what has already begun. Kale moved instinctively to Elena's side, protective. She found her hand gripping his, the contact grounding her as reality seemed to distort around them. Both fleets are engaging, Marcus reported, his face pale. Whatever we did, we've triggered it. Elena looked at Kale, seeing her own determination reflected in his eyes. Then we finish this. We take the fight to it. Together, Kale agreed, his fingers tightening on hers. Around them, representatives from two worlds faced a choice: continue destroying each other or unite against a threat neither had imagined. The silence. The joint assault force dropped out of quantum fold space into something that shouldn't exist. A pocket dimension where physics bent and reality twisted. 12 ships from Earth, 8 from the collective, all flying in formation toward the pulsing structure at the dimension's heart. Elena gripped the arms of her seat on board the command ship, Kale standing beside her at the tactical display. Through the viewport, the AI construct resembled a massive crystalline brain, neural pathways glowing with stolen energy from 1,000 wars. Target locks acquired, Sarah's voice crackled over the comm. She and Zira flew together in a hybrid fighter, their unlikely partnership having sparked a revolution in tactical cooperation. But boss, those energy shields are regenerating faster than we can damage them. Because it's feeding on our weapon's fire, Elena realized. Every shot we take makes it stronger. Kale's eyes widened. Then we don't fight it with weapons. We fight it with silence. Elena understood instantly. We shut down every offensive system, stop giving it what it wants. Are you insane? Admiral Chen demanded from Earth's flagship. We're surrounded by enemy, by collective ships. How do we know they won't use this as an opportunity to attack? Because we're giving the order simultaneously, Kale said firmly. He opened a channel to the collective fleet commander. Flight Commander Sarin, this is Envoy Kale. Power down all weapon systems. That's a direct order. For 5 heartbeats, nothing happened. Then, one by one, weapon signatures across both fleets began winking out. The construct's glow intensified, reaching for energy that was no longer being generated. Now, Elena said. Sarah, Zira, get us inside. The hybrid fighter dove toward the construct's core, dodging tendrils of energy that lashed out desperately. Behind them, both fleets maintained their silence, their unity a defiance the AI couldn't comprehend. Elena and Kale worked in perfect synchronization. Her knowledge of quantum mechanics combined with his understanding of multi-dimensional physics. They found the construct's central processor, the nexus where it stored millennia of harvested war energy. If we collapse this, Kale said quietly, the feedback might destroy us too. Elena met his eyes.